a couple different things. I mean, one is failure and how school has, the way we have designed school with our grading system has infused fear of failure into learners. And when you're afraid of failure, you aren't willing to take risks and be creative. And we know what we need down the road and now is creative risk takers to innovatively solve the issues that we're facing and create a regenerative future. And so if we have this school system that has been designed to kill creativity through its grading system, what is the alternative? And this is like, there aren't simple answers, but I love the exploration of it. And I'm pretty committed to that. For my keynote today, joy. I mean, COVID was hard on everyone in different ways and for different durations. But I think it made us live a bit smaller and live with a little less joy. And because I'm committed to education, I just think that education can bring in things that we need, such as joy. And I feel like when we don't design for joy in learning or in life, students show up, brains, bodies, hearts, and they're asking, what am I going to do with my life? What's the future? And what is joy? And even if they're not articulating that, I think just with their lives, they're asking it. And so how that fits into learning as well are a couple of the things that I've been thinking about. I'm rarely not ruminating on education. One of my favorite things is slow Saturday coffees. So my husband, John, will make me a coffee and my dog curls up on my lap and we'll talk for 3 hours. And it's usually about education. Like I'm just so drawn to it. But when I'm not ruminating on that, gosh, well, there's the big rocks. Like I think, and it's still connected to education, but like how to have a hopeful, flourishing future. But then smaller things that aren't those big, heavy rocks. I think just about adventure and like how to balance the like fun in life. Like there was a time when I was a PhD student and couldn't get a job and like there were big worries and we were broke. And now I've had quite a successful career for quite a few years and I should hopefully have some more. And I'm like, I want fun. I want a motorhome and I want like rivers and so I'm ruminating on like those kind of things, how to more play in life too, I guess. How many times has education been at a precipice? Like it feels redundant or old to say it, but I do feel like we're at a place where education as we know it is not going to take us into the future. And so we're either going to cling to the traditional old ways and become irrelevant. And part of that will be, like it's going to change. Like there are serious threats to education, but doing more of the same and trying to do it harder and more tightly isn't going to succeed. So I think there is a real like what is needed to illuminate a hopeful, flourishing future. What do we need people to think, do, believe? How do we design and create the society that we need? And how is education going to be involved in that? And it isn't going to be around information. Like information is the currency of 150 years ago, but we still conduct school sometimes or education as if information was the most important thing. You come into this space and I give you information. And so that's like so over. And what excites me, I guess, is that education can play a role in illuminating a hopeful, flourishing future by teaching whole people, by understanding what do we need. We need problem solving, we need connected thinking, we need creativity. Okay, then what and how do we need to teach to get to that so that we have that? And so I think education's I don't know, precipice. Well, I guess I think one road could go off a cliff, and I mean, education as we know it could just be dead. But I think the other road is this enlivening, energizing place where, and it isn't a physical place necessarily, but where what we are doing is designing that future that we need. Adventurous. I think, Brené Brown has done such incredible work around what are your values. And for me, I mean, one of my biggest values is adventure. And I took risks. Like I have been facilitating, for 25 years now. And I try to come to each opportunity with fresh eyes and fresh vision. And I try to take risks. So, I mean, the way I designed this morning's talk, the way I design anything that I'm doing, I mean, I'm trying to who is there, the typical, who's the audience and what's the purpose and what are we doing? But I think also just bringing in a playfulness for me, I want my heart to skip a beat. I want to watch what's taking place and with interest and be like, what's happening? So I think that with adventure is one of them. I think the other one is always who's doing the talking, how much, why, how, what is opening up, what is being closed off, and how can I engage participants creatively? And so even in a keynote, which is typically one person talking the entire time and just delivering things, I'm so not into passive receptivity. I feel like if what I say is going to make a difference, you have to do something with it. You have to handle it as an audience member. You have to have time to think, have time to share. And so I create those spaces and those moments that disrupt and do something different. And so, yeah, I think that, so with adventure experientially and with that active engagement piece in mind. Oh, there's too many. On the education side, books that changed my life. I have more than one. John Dewey's Experience in Education. The student's not a pump that we can get everything out of. The student's not an empty well that we need to put everything into. We need to engage. Martin Buber's I, Thou, which conceptually is we approach the world in either I, Thou, or I, It ways. We encounter the world in that way. So I either see you as an object or a subject. And we are getting less and less I, Thous as we have more and more objects in our world, and we forget how to encounter people as something, as a subject instead of an object. And so just this, how do we meet one another and meet one another well? Nell Noddings, any of her books on care really influenced me because I think care is commonly used and understood, but actually we don't hold it in common. And she said, care not received as care isn't care. And so love her work in that and how that, comes into education. Jay Roberts, he's provost at Warren Wilson College in North Carolina, and he's written a few books, but one of my favorites of his is Experiential Education in the College Context, and he means college and degree granting as well as diploma granting institutions. I think he lays out a great, in a very digestible, wonderful, accessible book, what it is, and I've used it as a textbook when I'm teaching others about experiential. So that's maybe my education side. On the personal side, The Tent Peg by Aretha Van Herk. I think that was a book on an English teacher's shelf, Mr. Moore's, when I was in grade 9. And he was like, that's kind of a grade 12 book. I don't, and I was like, can I just borrow it? I love reading. He's like, okay, fine. And it's about a young woman who goes to the bush as a cook for a geological survey camp. And she's the only female, but she got the job by applying with her initials. And it's all about gender, all the kind of stuff. And it's just such a good book. And it captures the North, which I love too. So that's 5 books or 4. Anyways. A boat and loved ones. So I have been on a desert island, and I have an opportunity for educators and educational leaders to join me on a desert island in the spring in the Baja. But I actually, I've paddled about 25,000 kilometers under my boat But the only time I've done it solo was on a desert island in Mexico, and that took a lot of courage. I went down for a 7-day solo sea kayaking trip. So I would want a boat, not just to get off the island because I'm stuck on a desert island, but actually to explore it. And having that solo trip where I had that time just by myself, and kind of like maybe for one of the first times I wasn't caretaking. Like, I'm always conscious of everyone around me. I'm a great wilderness guide. I'm a great leader because of that. But like sometimes you want that other awareness to die down and just be awareness, sit with yourself. So that's, but my loved ones, like also like my husband and my dog, that's two, but anyways, stretching it. When I'm in a boat with the two of them, I am very, very, very happy. So I could live there if I had enough food and water and shelter and a boat and those two. I have a tattoo of a frog on my foot. So probably a frog. It's my only tattoo to date. And I got it when I was 19 with my two best girlfriends, because in high school, we called ourselves the Frog Sisters, which stood for Friendly Rambunctious Outdoor Girls. And we got it when we were 19 on the day that two of us registered our business. We made a canoe tripping company when we were in university and took kids out, and parents gave their kids to us to take out, which is amazing. And the other friend is the one that I paddled across the country with. And so the frog has always been special, but I think also with the frog, they're an indicator species. They let you know what's going on in the environment, and like if there's trouble or if it's good, like frogs are the indicator. They tell you that. And I think that's a really special role, and we need people. And I think sometimes I played that role of an indicator, like this is healthy or this isn't healthy, what's going on. So I would say a frog.